Hello everybody, it's Spinda, and I know that it's been a while, and under current circumstances, it might be a little bit weird to make this video, but recently, as you may have seen, I have erased 12,000 tweets, which is probably a culmination of about 7 years of Twitter use. I started Twitter when I was like 15, and now I'm 20. So, from the ages of 15 to 20, I've been making tweets, and that eventually added up to about 12,000 of them. And basically, for a while, I've been thinking to myself that how much of anything have I made 12,000 of? And do I want one of those things to be Twitter, especially in its current state? So I just simply decided I didn't want it anymore. I don't want to have 12,000 tweets floating around on the internet. And there's so many copies of Twitter that have put all the tweets on one website that if people looked really hard, maybe they could find it, but I just didn't want it to be on Twitter itself anymore. And there's a lot of reasons why. And I would really like to get into that and talk about why I think Twitter is not only bad for you and why it's been bad for me, but it's bad for the overall Smash community right now, especially the Melee community, which is a bit more niche and requires a lot more technical ability and historical understanding of the game itself compared to something like Ultimate, which is newer, which has all these big influencers and esports related guys running everything and making all this stuff for it. Now, it's a little bit hard to explain why Twitter is so bad, because the best way I can do it is really just give you examples, especially just in terms of the overall community. And also, if this video's a little disorganized, it's because I have no script. I'm just talking from personal experience, and I kind of just want to get my thoughts out there. I've spent so much time on Twitter just trying to figure out the formula as to what will get the most likes, the most engagement, in the shortest amount of time without being controversial. And sometimes things take an opposite effect. Some things become controversial that you don't even really intend them to, and they get a lot of hateful engagement, but that's actually a good thing on a platform like that. Twitter doesn't look at a ratio and says, oh, people don't want to see this. It looks at the overall engagement something is getting, and it says, oh, there's a lot of clicks, there's a lot of people viewing this tweet for several seconds in a row, there's a lot of people opening the media related to this tweet. People want to see this. We should put this on everyone's feed. And because it's like that, there is so much reward for saying the craziest thing possible, even if it's not a real representation of your thoughts. And because Twitter rewards that so much over and over and over again, it creates this cycle where people are just constantly saying outrageous things to one another, and they're completely forgetting that there are people on the other side of the screen who live their own lives. They're not just people who say something outrageous specifically there to be an enemy to you personally. So I think that Twitter is so bad for the Smash community. It is so bad that we have lost every other social media platform. Even Facebook was better for organizing everything and keeping a community engaged with one another. But that's not really a thing anymore just because of how much social media has changed. But everyone moving to Twitter makes it so people want to talk about the controversial thing of the week or the month or whatever. Because the Melee community specifically is so small and everyone kind of knows everybody, at least the people who are participating in the community all know everybody, versus the thousands of spectators that just want to turn on their television and watch all the drama going down. It leads to this situation. Just as an example, I'm going to talk about controllers. If you make a tweet about the Goom Wave and you're friends with other people in the community, there's a very high chance that it's going to reach the people who have like 1,000 followers, and out of those 1,000 followers, it might reach the people in the Melee community that have like 12,000, and then it's going to reach the people at the top who basically control what most of the spectators on the outskirts of everything will see. And it leads to this situation where someone says their opinion on something, and then someone doesn't like that, who's higher up on that hierarchy, and they say the opposite, and it leads to this just massive, just like fight every couple weeks of the same topic from every single influencer, who then gives their own opinion. And it adds nothing, we gain nothing, we don't grow closer as a community, we just draw a lot of attention to ourselves, and people make a big deal of something that doesn't really matter. And, you know, I'm talking about this like I'm above it, right? I'm not. I'm definitely not above this. That's part of the reason why I just don't really want to keep doing Twitter the way I've been doing it. Because it's hard to strike a balance between you, yourself, as a genuine person, and the character that you're putting out there because you know it gets a lot of clicks, it's really funny, gets a lot of views, whatever. That's something I've personally struggled with a lot, because I want to be my genuine self, and I want to just say the things that I feel, but that doesn't really work, because that's not what it rewards. Especially now, if the more controversial you are, the more people that don't like you, the better, because more people are going to talk about what you're saying, and you're going to get all their spectators on top of the platform that you already have. Now, it's really hard in the Smash community to actually gain a platform. It's really hard because of how Twitter is right now. There's so many people that just want to tear it down before it even gets a chance to get started, because they are nitpicking everything you have to say. And, you know, again, I've just said that it's easy to talk about it like I'm above it. A lot of people in the community have that exact same problem. They all talk about issues in the community like they're above them, like they've never done something wrong, like this guy did something so crazy, so terrible, and everyone's like, oh my god, like he's so ridiculous, without reflecting on themselves and saying, have I made someone feel like that before? Have I done something so ridiculous to make someone feel like that, and they just haven't said anything about it publicly? And overall, I just know it's extremely negative. 12,000 tweets from the ages of 15 to 20. Do I really need to make a tweet like every day for a couple years about at least everything going down that is getting a lot of Twitter clout? You know what I mean? And I think right now it's honestly a little better than it was at this time last year, because there's this current phenomenon where a lot of people who get into Melee, who get into Smash, they don't get introduced to it through their local community, they get introduced to it through an online source. They can choose everything that they consume and choose to believe anything they want about any player, any influencer. For me, I've been to hundreds of tournaments, I've been around a lot of different top players, and that is what has formed my opinions on all of them. But people don't really understand that. People think that I might have some sort of agenda against other people. In reality, I have spent a lot of time growing and seeing these other people grow to where I know who I like, I know who I don't like. But all these like slippy kids, and I'm just gonna say that because that's kind of the era we're in. A lot of the slippy kids, or just people who started playing Ultimate Online, they're gonna have a drastically different opinion on someone like Leffen if you watch Leffen himself versus Mango versus Hungrybox. You're just gonna have an extremely different opinion. And no one is really trying to formulate their own experiences and thoughts. They just want to be a part of this like niche subculture, and they also want to figure out how to really get the upper hand like in the community. They want to be a part of this like esports or like promise of clout, promise of money, promise of all this stuff that this community was not founded on, it's a really strange attitude that's been adopted into the community. Because before it was like you had to go out of your way to find local tournaments, you had to find people who were willing to play with you, and you kind of had to put up with your differences or not really have access to a lot of good practice or good resources in order to play Melee. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this on Twitter, where like someone tweets, "I love GameCube controllers," and then someone else tweets, "No, like you're wrong actually, GameCube controllers are kind of ass." And then it turns into this giant thing where influencers are saying, "No, I love GameCube controllers. No, I hate GameCube controllers." And you see that like hundreds of times over and over again. It's like we're not getting closer as a community for doing this. We're not learning anything. We're not teaching anyone anything. We're not even giving people good content. We're just spewing things out there, and really, none of it's really interesting. It gets really boring when you have a giant community on Twitter that is just spectating, trying to find drama, trying to do all this extra bullshit, when it used to be, we go to tournaments, we all like this game, we are all really passionate about it, and all this other stuff. There's even an issue now, and I think it's as a result of such a disconnect from one another, and taking everything to the extreme, you know what I mean? Like, Smash Camp just happened, and it had over 100 entrants. People are calling it a major tournament, when in reality, it's just someone who had a lot of followers, who is very popular, very nice, well known in the community, ran a pretty big tournament in his local region, and it would be called a regional in the past, but because there was so much like attention around it, and specific groups of people went to this event, people are calling it a major, just because like there was a lot of clout surrounding it, there's a lot of hype. And I think that's just such a testament for how people need to stop and reflect on their own influence in the community and how they say things, how they put them out there, because it's really warping the perception of so many things, and everyone pretends like they're above it. When people talk about ego and Smash, they pretend like they don't need to work on that within themselves. They think it's all just like, oh, Smashers, man. Oh, man, Smashers. When it's like, you are a Smasher. You are a part of the community. You are someone who's a part of that. But other than that, other than just the reasons why I think Twitter is so bad for the Smash community, I don't like throwing random little bits of text out there that were just formulated jokes based on like the character of myself in my head that I would like to project out there to other people. Because in my mind, I don't want anyone to know what I'm thinking. I want to tweet different things all the time. I want to make jokes that are really specific and just also figure out what works. I don't really want to do that anymore. I want to put my own ideas out there as they are and curate them as much as possible and refine them into something that's good and entertaining. Which is why I want to do like more YouTube content like I'm doing right now. I would rather do something I'm more proud of and be in a place where there can be more discussion, there can be more discussion, more positivity, less of a huge clout chasing game. And while it's still, YouTube is a platform that's like that still, it's so different from Twitter. Making a video is extremely different than making a tweet at 2 a.m. I do want to wrap up this video and say, I know there's people using their platform for the better. They're finding really good ways to utilize how Twitter works. And, I'm really proud of them for that. It's hard to strike that balance when so many people get mad about so many things on Twitter. I want to just make what I want to make. I want to put my ideas out there in a way that I enjoy And if I want to find ways to make that entertain people too, but on Twitter it's just so limiting. It's not really fun. It's really toxic. It turns you into a worse person. Turned me into a worse person. Not as funny, not as interesting, just angrier about completely trivial bullshit. But now I want to create more content that I like and talk about things I like. Like the thing I want to do most, I want to look back on the Smash documentary, because there's a lot of really funny, like, ironic moments in it, and pointing those out, just from like a fun, has watched a lot of films perspective, would be really interesting, I think. And also just talking about how relevant it is to, like, the community, because a lot of people treat Samox like he's this Hollywood director who's influencing everyone's opinion on the Smash community. When honestly, the Smash documentary is a lot more accurate of a representation of the community than any other, like, piece of media out there. So, and it's made by a very small group of people, basically just one guy, as a passion project. I also want to say Melee Sadpost, the owner of Heartswap, has done so much and has grown so much. We've gone from Gaily, the gay Melee player thing. It was like a 20-person Discord, then it had like hundreds of people, all these people entering the tournaments every other week. We had Gaily Summit. I think there was 2 summits. There might have been 3. I honestly don't really remember right now. Who has now run P+ Theater, which is crazy. Ran all the shadowed blacklisted events too for P+, and that is just amazing. I think more people should focus on trying to do that type of thing for the community and get involved in a way that they enjoy, rather than worry about all this crap on Twitter. We really should not worry about it as much as we do, but that's the unfortunate reality of everything being really centralized around that app. So, I don't really have anything else to say. To everyone who I've met through this 2020 quarantine online Melee era, I really want to thank you for pushing me to grow and figure out what I like doing in the community, who I want to be, the type of content I want to produce, and I hope that you can stick around. I'm not quitting Melee or anything. I just want to make changes for myself that I find the most positive, especially because corporate internet sucks so bad. I remember when everyone was a lot more genuine in themselves and they did goofy things all the time. Thank you for watching this. I just really wanted to get my thoughts out there. If I do like a live stream, it's gonna like get deleted. I'm never gonna make it a video, and it's gonna be really annoying. But so thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to what I have to say, and hopefully you stick around.